G'day everybody, it's Taylor MB here, and welcome to my solo cycle fight analysis. In this series, we'll be deep diving into all my outnumbered fights and analysing what I did wrong, what I did right, and all the different ways we can improve. We're going to start off with a 1v3 at Vaccine Labs. I have a Bulldog and a Manticore. Until they start communicating in-game, I actually only think there's one person, and I completely mess up the start of the fight here. I allow myself to get absolutely beamed by them, and I don't think I did barely any damage to them at all. So I'm starting this fight with basically 40% health against 3 people, which is an insane disadvantage. I make the decision to cut back towards them instead of running away for 2 reasons. Firstly, it broke the sight lines a lot better than running straight down the road would have, and it's the unexpected thing to do, cutting back towards people who just absolutely destroyed your health.
He's meeting up.
Despite what they're saying in-game voice chat, I am not meeting up here, and I don't want to. I cut back and ran towards them, so if I use meds, it's going to make it bleedingly obvious where I am and give away my position. And secondly, if they're already hearing things that aren't actually happening in-game, then I don't want to correct that confusion by actually meeting up. I want to leave them confused about where they're hearing these random sounds from. Now they've communicated that I'm by a tree, which had me really nervous at the time, but after rewatching this footage to make this video, I've realized they have no way to know that it's this tree that I am actually behind. The road curved away from them, and then I cut back around the other side of the wall as well. So by them saying he's behind that tree, they're talking about most likely one across the road from me, which gives me a really good position behind them, behind where they're looking, which we're about to see come to fruition. This guy jumps over the fence and is completely facing the wrong way. So I get 2 free shots on, I don't get a headshot, but his teammate finishes him for me. So it's immediately a 1v2 and I haven't taken any extra damage, and now it's a 1v1 and I still haven't taken any extra damage. So what we're doing here is we're using the trees to constantly break line of sight. We do a lot of damage very quickly, so we have to use that to our advantage. We peek out, we take a shot, and we get behind cover. They're all running assault rifles, which means they need us continuously in their crosshairs to do a decent amount of damage, whereas we don't. So we're constantly taking on only one of them at a time, and we're constantly just peeking and getting back in cover. The play here to take down the third and final opponent was a bit risky. I was out of stamina, I was a bit far away from the tree, which means I couldn't easily get back in cover quickly, and I only had 1 bullet left in my magazine. But fortunately, I judged the damage correctly, and I didn't whiff my shot, and he goes down, and I don't end up in a super vulnerable position. And that was a crazy 1v3 with the Bulldog. So we really effed up the start of this fight. We immediately took a shit ton of damage, and we were in a really bad exposed position on the road. So the start of this fight is a very good example about how not to open any fight, let alone an outnumbered one. But we immediately pivoted into a good defensive position with good cover and bottlenecks that allowed us to then proceed the fight as a series of 3 1v1s instead of a 1v3. So the start of this fight, absolutely trash. Please never do anything like that again in your own cycle gameplay. But the last half of the fight, absolutely replicate that. It worked perfectly. This fight started down at the dig site, but instead of pushing or killing me, this group of 3 exited the dig site and called their evac up at the parking lot. Me, still being in the dig site, heard them call it. So I immediately sprinted out the other exit of the dig site, did a circle through the parking lot, and arrived just as their evac ship was touching down. This is more of a lesson of what you should not do, and that is you should not evac when you know there is a hostile player in the area. You especially shouldn't pile 3 people within a grenade's radius. Despite me failing to jump on these rocks to make any sort of follow-up to my grenade throws, it didn't matter at all, because those 2 grenades killed 3 prospectors that were standing on top of each other. Very simply, these guys should have killed me, or they should have called a fake evac to bait out my grenade throws. If they had called a fake evac, I would have been stuck there on those rocks, failing to jump up with no cover to fall back onto, and they would have easily been able to take me down 1v3. But instead, they got too nervous or they got too impatient and they wanted to evac straight away when they should have baited me out with the ship. Clip number 3 has these two guys jumping around, sprinting in the swamp, making a ton of noise, allowing me to hear them from a mile away and get into a good ambush position with good cover. In situations like this, always let the whole group run past you and take down the last person in the group, because it's a lot harder for them to get your position if they have to do a 180 and backtrack than it is if they're already sprinting up to where you're shooting their friend. So we let the first person run past, we quickly take down the second person with our wide assault rifle, and then we jump up on these rocks here and get a bit of cover and get a bit of elevation. Elevation is one of the key advantages in this game, and it allows us to peek over this fence, get a ton of damage into this guy, and now we only need a tiny bit more damage to finish him off. For some reason he decides to peek and go aggressive. He does get a hit on us with the bolt action, but he's already so damaged that it only takes a few more bullets from the assault rifle, and our man here is dead. So first up, these guys were making way too much noise, making it really easy to ambush them. Secondly, we got ourselves in a really good ambush position, and we managed to get that first kill off in one clip, which immediately evened the odds. We then rotated to a slightly different position with elevation, and that allowed us to get a better angle on the second person, and for some reason the second person decided to push even when they had virtually zero health instead of healing or running away, and that allowed us to finish this fight out. We're going to finish it off with a little bit of a meme. I was at the vaccine labs, I thought I could hear someone, I went out onto the balcony and saw enough, in the corner of my eye for a fraction of a second, I saw someone moving behind the southern doors. So I did the only sensible thing. I pulled out a grenade, I bounced it off the door, right into the position that they'd hidden in. And that's all the fight analysis I have for you today. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and please do hit the like and subscribe button if you made it this far. There's a really good reason pro sporting teams watch footage of their games back, because it really does help with their improvement, and I do find the same does translate to gaming as well. So if you guys are serious about improving your PvP, definitely record yourself and watch back your footage, because it makes it really obvious what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you on Fortuna 3.